Okay, the purpose of this video is to show you how to add and constrain parts to an assembly drawing in Inventor. So we're working with a big joint house drawing here. You can see that I have part C, I have part G, and I have part E and F has been added here twice already in the model. All of these do already have some constraints applied to them. These are all different constraints. I'm going to go through adding some of the additional parts that are in here. I'm going to show you two ways to do that and then how you can place constraints on them. To start with, in the assembly itself, you can create a part. So we're going to create the dowel. We're going to go create right here. And then you got to make sure your file structure matches up where everything else is being saved. You're going to call this, and I'm just going to call this dowel as the name of the part. I'm going to say OK. And where do I want to put it on the drawing? Well, I could either put it in its reference location, or I can just place it out here and draw the part out here onto a generic plane that's here. So I clicked out on the screen. I'm going to add a 2D sketch. I click a drawing plane. Now, since this dowel is going to go in this direction, I'm going to use that drawing plane to work with. I'm going to draw a circle for my dowel, which is 1/4 inch, 0.25, and I'm going to finish the sketch. Very straightforward here. We're going to extrude that, and the distance is 0.75. It's a 3/4 inch dowel. So there's my dowel. That truly is it. I will save this part. Click to save up here. And that part's been saved, and then I'm going to hit return. Okay, now that dowel goes in this hole over here, and we're going to add an insert constraint on that. So we'll constrain this dowel. That insert constraint looks like this. Okay, and what I want to do is I look at these arrows here. I'm going to use the arrows opposed option here, and I'm going to take that option, and I want the bottom of this dowel to be going into the bottom of this hole. So not the top part, but the bottom of the hole. And it put it in there. And I say, yeah, go ahead and apply that. And that put it in position. Now I do need to add a second dowel. You don't have to draw it. You don't have to create another part. That dowel has already been created. We've saved it. So I'm going to use place up here. Okay, and I take the place command. And there is that part I just created called dowel. Remember, you're looking everything's in the same folder. So here's dowel. I'm going to place that in there, open that, and it brings it in, and it says, hey, where do you want to put it? I'll just put it close to where it's going to go. It's going to allow me to place as many parts as I need. I only need one dowel. So that fact you can multiple place is the same thing you used with parts E and F. Again, similar option here. We're going to constrain. Okay, I'm doing an insert constraint. I'm going to choose that side of the dowel, and it's going to go into the back of this hole. So not the front there. I need to go to the back of the hole, get that to mouse up, click on that, and hit apply. So that's creating my part within the assembly itself. We created a dowel. Let's create part D here. We're going to create that as a separate part outside the assembly. So that's going to be a file and new, and a new part, an IPT file, and go there and launch that new part. Okay, now before I forget, I know what I'm working on. I'm going to do a save as. This part is going to be called part D. So part D, and I save that. Now part D, I need to draw a rectangle, so I took my 2D sketch here. I'm going to put it on the front drawing plane, XY plane. We'll draw a rectangle, or we'll draw a 2-point center rectangle. Center my here. We'll pull that out. We know that this is 0.75. Whoops, I'm sorry. It's 5.5 long. And I hit tab. And by 0.75 tall. Okay, and my rectangle. There's my rectangle. I'll finish that sketch. My rectangle is 0.75 deep, so I can extrude that, or I'll do a symmetric extrusion right down the middle. You can do either one of them, and I'm going to do a distance of 0.75 and say OK. Now, this part does have a hole on either end of it, so to put that hole, I'm going to use the hole command under 3D model, take the hole command, select that hole, and then where are you placing it? It's going to go on this surface. right here. Okay, and the diameter of that hole is defined right here. So 0.25, now I made a hole previously so it remembered that. 0.25 hole. And this is the depth of the hole. How deep is the hole going to go through? And so it's a simple hole, and the seat is no seat. The termination is a distance versus going through all. So make it go a distance, and we need to define that distance as 3/8 of an inch. The direction is into the material is the default that's going to go, and it will have a drill bit taper on the end. So 0.25. So that's everything here. Now, before I say OK, I need to make sure it's been located in the center, and I do that by touching the two sides. This needs to be 0.375. Kind of eyeballed its placements. This allows me to type in the exact 0.375, exact measurement from the sides. So I need from two sides, I need to type it in, 0.375. And that will ensure my hole is exactly in the middle, the way it's supposed to go. Then I say OK. I'll flip this part around. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Hole. Where are we placing the hole? The hole is going here. It does remember, and we'll look at it straight on for you guys. It does remember that it's 0.375 and it's 0.25, but to double check that, it is going a distance. So all I need to do is locate it so it's 0.375 from the edges, 0.375, and that centers my hole. Say OK. Now, this is good and ready to go. I'm going to just click Save. Save my part. It will just simply save over that part file. That's called Part D. Let's go back into our assembly and back into the assembly. In the assembly, we're going to hit Place. And we need to locate Part D. Open that. And then just place it out on the drawing. Doesn't have to be in its exact location. You hit Escape to get out of the multiple placement. Now we're going to constrain this in place over here. And it's the same technique we might use with some of our other parts. So we can use the Insert constraint. And we'll again go Insert. We'll do the Oppose. And what we're going to do is take this end of the dowel right on here. So let's flip this around so we can see it. Whoops, I flipped her too far. We're going to grab the end of the dowel right there. And we're going to constrain. So we're going to constrain. I lost my constraint. Insert. I'm going to take the end of the dowel right there. I'm going to flip this back and zoom out. We're going to look at the hole we're trying to go, the back of the hole. And I'm going to hit Apply. It did bring it up into position there. Now, this did essentially put it in position, but there are a couple things that could still happen while it's like this. This part could be rotated and spun. We don't really want that to happen. It is on the dowel, but it's kind of spinning there on the dowel. So we're going to align some the faces here by using a flush constraint. So we're going to flush. Okay, you can either do everything back to Part C. You can flush this face to this face and apply. And now that twist won't occur. Now I could add a mate in here where we can mate an edge. So we don't want maybe this edge and this edge. We can mate together and apply that because we don't want our part to shift. But it should be constrained in 3 dimensions. Okay? And you know it's fully constrained when you try to click on it and move it, and it seems like it is locked down. It's kind of pinned down. So I don't have to apply that constraint on all ends of it. The insert's going to hold it in place. It's there. You're going to continue this. You may want to either draw the parts with the angles on them right on here, or you can draw them as separate parts. So if I were creating, say, part A directly on this drawing here, I would go under Create. I'm going to call it Part A. And I'm going to make sure it's in my folder here and say OK. And again, it really doesn't matter exactly. It doesn't have to be meshed up onto a plane over here. I'm just going to put it out there onto that sketch plane. Then I can add or out onto this plane, and then I can add a sketch plane to that. So take a sketch plane, pick the plane I want to draw on. Okay, and then I can I can draw that part in reference to this. So that might look like and I don't have to even draw it at an angle. Might look like a rectangle that comes out that's 0.425 tab by, whoops, I did that wrong. It should be 0.75 tab by 4.25. And we can finish the sketch there. Finish that. Extrude this 0.75, and you can add a chamfer, which is underneath a fillet here. I'm sorry, it's not. It's right next to fillet. Chamfer is right there. We're going to put an angled piece on here, and we want this corner back here to be chamfered. So I'm going to come over here. That corner is going to receive the chamfer itself, and we need to define what that chamfer distance is by creating chamfer. The distance is 0.75, and it's on that angle. You see how that cuts. Say OK, and now you just simply save this part and hit the blue ball to return to your assembly. Hit the blue ball. That returns to the assembly itself. And from here, we can constrain this, even though it's not in the position we want it to be in. We can constrain this into that position. So by using constraint, the first thing I'll do is I will flush this face right here with this C face right there. So I got it aligned in that correct position. I'll hit apply. Now I'm going to mate, and think of this kind of like glue. We're going to mate the bottom of this, so you can take an angle where you're looking at the bottom of that. We're going to get the arrow. See that arrow is pointing straight off the bottom. Okay, we're going to mate that bottom. I'm going to come back here and reposition this so you guys can see. Make that bottom to right here. And so put that in position. I hit apply, and I'll do one more mate. I'm going to mate this edge and that edge, and hit apply, and it kind of shifts it in position. Again, you can check and make sure, is everything in the exact location? Does this thing shift around? And it's not moving around. So there's part A in there. Part B can be done the same way, or you can draw part B separately out here, and then you bring it in the same exact way.